What's going on around the town, family? It's your humble host, KD. And, I'm here to sit there and do what we normally do, give you some news you can use. So now, without further ado, we ain't even going to sit there and play around with it. We're going to hop right into it. So, get my notes out. So the other day, when we sat there and was doing the show, I briefly sat there and touched on the topic about a gentleman by the name of Sheldon Johnson, who ended up getting into a situation to where he ended up deleting another gentleman by the name of Colin Small from off the planet. Now, mind you, trigger warning, this is a crazy story. So Sheldon, okay, so this how I'm gonna start this off. Sheldon was an ex-con that had just got out of prison last May, right? Okay. He gets out of prison last May with the group that sit there helps him get out of prison, which was the New York Clemency Board or New York Clemency Group or whatever. They helped petition to get him out of jail because originally he was locked up in 1999 for an attempted murder charge and was serving 50 years. So he wasn't supposed to get out until 2041. Well, boom, changed his life around while he was locked up in prison because supposedly, well, before I even say that, I'm going to break it down like this. All right, so the man comes home from jail. When he comes home from jail, he changed his life around, or so we thought. He starts working with the Queen's damn, what's it called? I should have wrote that down. Basically, he's working with a nonprofit organization to sit there and help get people out of jail. It's Queen something. The word is right there. It's going to come to me. But basically, he was a counselor for the youth in there. He was sitting there rubbing shoulders with politicians, and you know what I mean. He doing good things. So I don't know when I don't know when the shit hit the fan, but the shit hit the fan in a major way. So supposedly last Tuesday, him and another former acquaintance, Mr. Small, I don't know how this had to been planned out because this is crazy. Okay, so boom. He knows Mr. Smalls. They grew up with each other in Foster Projects out in Harlem. Boom. And they was locked up together. Now, mind you, I don't know if Smalls was a blood, but supposedly when Sheldon was locked up, he was a high-ranking blood member. So they say. Now, mind you, before this whole incident happened last Tuesday, just last month, the man Sheldon did an interview with Joe Rogan. I don't know how he made it up on Joe Rogan's radar, but he did an interview with Joe Rogan where he broke down his whole life story about how he learned all this criminal antics from his pops because his pops was a deaf drug dealer that smoked crack and introduce him into the world of crime and this, that, and the third, all the way down to how his son is following the same footsteps. He's trying to be a better father. All right, cool. So that's why he changed his life around. All right. So now this was all happening within the span, because mind you, he just came home in May. It's March, so it ain't even been a full year yet. So he just came home in May. He's sitting there doing good things with the Queen's organization. I can't think of the name right now. But he's doing good things with the Queen's organization, dealing with law, Queen's Public Defenders. That's what it's called, the Queen's Public Defenders. Boom. So he's doing good work with them. He's rubbing elbows with politicians. All right, everything so far sounds good. He even made it up to be on one of the, if you would say, and just the whole atmosphere of podcasting, one of the most popularizing, polarizing podcasts, Joe Rogan. All right, cool. So how does all that translate to last Tuesday, which was the 5th? You're in a high bridge apartment where now this is statements from one particular neighbor. They don't sit there and say who, but I take it as a female neighbor that said that she heard two shots come from a 6th floor apartment. Then after she heard two shots come from a 6th floor apartment, she heard a man scream, "I have a family," before two more shots. Now, if you live in New York, you know the walls is very thin. So you can hear somebody up above you. Sometimes you can hear somebody from 2 floors above you, depending on how loud they are. So, but you still got to be loud. Like, you can't just be talking like I'm talking to you and somebody in the next apartment going to hear what I'm saying. So he had to be screaming. So this where this joint gets real crazy for me. So you in the dude's crib. Something goes wrong because if I'm not mistaken, y'all ain't have no contact since you've been home, or who knows, because that's not been specified. Because it's crazy how y'all used to sit there. Y'all knew each other from Forster. Supposedly, y'all was running with each other. You know what I mean? Putting in work with each other. However, y'all was doing what y'all was doing. Cool. Sheldon, you get locked up. I guess Smalls took over when you got locked up. Cool. Whatever the case may be. Years later, y'all bump into each other when y'all in prison with each other. Who knows what happens behind the wall? Smalls come home. Now, from what they saying, Smalls is he living a decent life. You know what I mean? He making ends meet. Everything. They don't sit there and specify what he's doing, nor should they, because they who will fucking know for real, except for the people that's around him and that know him. But some way or another, Sheldon finds out where this man lives at and ends up coming to his front door. Shit go left. Now, this is where me personally, I feel like they been having some type of situation going on. First and foremost, they been had some type of situation going on, and it was a situation that went left, and that man took the obvious overboard route of handling the situation. So from now on, trigger warning. I'm gonna try to use the proper terms to so we can get through this. So the man sits there He hit him 4 times. Boom. Leaves the apartment. Comes back into the apartment. Changes his clothes. Come back with a whole bunch of cleaning supplies. Who knows what he doing in the crib? Leaves out the crib again. When he leaves out the crib again, he changes his clothes a whole nother time. Comes back in, leaves out again, changes his clothes again, comes back in. Now he got a blue bin, comes back out. You know what I mean? So he's been caught on camera multiple times coming in and out this house. If I'm not mistaken, the last time he leaves out the crib, he has on a wig. Now, at this point in time, the neighbor had already called, if I'm not mistaken, the neighbor had already called 911. The landlord ends up coming to the building first before the neighbor comes in. Smalls tried to talk the landlord into coming into the apartment. The landlord didn't want to go. All right, landlord knew something that ain't nobody else know. Smalls gets out the building. Police come. They sit there and with the landlord and stuff, they check the camera. So then that's how they see this man coming back and forth. So now this is where it gets real tricky. The man was trying to dispose of Small's body, a small body. He ends up taking certain body parts with him to his house in Forster. Now, the police finds a torso and a foot at Small's High Bridge apartment. In Sheldon's apartment in Forster, they find a foot, an arm, and Mr. Small's severed head. Trigger warning, once again. So now they say they don't know if it was about money, drugs, or whatever the case may be. Me personally, just the way I think about certain things, there's no evidence stating that like it was no drugs and it was no drugs found at Small's apartment. It was no drugs found in Sheldon's apartment. So who knows if it was drugs involved? What we do know is this man disassembled somebody else, tried to clean it up, and got caught because of a neighbor. Now, he wasn't even supposed to be home. He wasn't supposed to be getting out. He wasn't even supposed to be going to go see the parole board until 2041. So now is the New York for clemency and the Queen's legal situation that he was working for, the Queen's defenders, are they sitting there kicking themselves in the ass right now? Or it's just a situation of, yo, you promised me something, you ain't uphold your end of the bargain, and now I got to take things into my hand? Who knows? I just know one thing for sure, two things for certain. You never know who's around you. You never know what people is thinking. So you most definitely gotta stay. Like it's hard to sit there and say stay prepared for something like this when you don't even know what happened. Because 9 times out of 10, the way I'm thinking about it, you found out where bro stay at. You went and knocked on the door. He opens up the door or comes to the door, opens up the door. You rush him in with the blick. Y'all have y'all words, whatever. Things go left. You start letting off. The man pleads for his life. You let off two more. One time was you know what I mean, was a head tapper. So it's over after that. Then now you realize I really messed up. So now what's your next thought? I gotta sit there and get rid of what I just messed up. Now for the whole day, now mind you, this is what I'm confused about. They said that the lady called 911 after hearing 2 shots coming from the 6th floor apartment. This man been running in and out this apartment the whole day because they sat there and caught him leaving with the blue bucket at 2 a.m. in the morning on camera. So did you call after you heard the 2 shots, or when you called, they just ain't come until when they decided to come? Because it sounded like it was like a whole little 12-hour period to where the man was sitting there doing what he was doing, running back, multiple pictures of him running back and forth. So he going to the store, he doing this, he run like, where was the police at all this time? If a neighbor sat there and called 911, you feel what I'm saying? Like, yo, this is a crazy situation, especially being. I live in New York. This is a situation that just happened last week in New York. You feel what I'm saying? Now, mind you, the man's, yo, like, it boggles my mind because I haven't watched the full Rogan interview. I've watched certain things on it. Yeah, I mean, certain clips. Like he's really sitting there. He's really convincing. Like, yo, I had a wild childhood. This, that, and the third. Like, my son already sitting there reaping from certain decisions that I made, and now he had to make decisions without me being here, this, that, and the third. Now he in a situation. I'm just trying to be a better father. The whole rigmarole. Now, for that to sit there and turn into, bro, you just caught you a whole homie a month after you sat there and did the Joe Rogan show. What happened? What happened? Was it a play going wrong? Nigga did something wrong to you when you was in prison and you finally caught up. Like, what happened, bro? Like, it gotta be something like, because for something like that to just happen out the blue, like you just, I gotta get down on, bro. You've been gone for 25 years. How you know where the nigga stayed at? You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's just it's too many loose ends that it's too many loose ends and sentences that ain't been completed. Like the sentences got to get completed, because I'm sitting there just thinking to myself, how does somebody that did 25 years in jail come home and end up murdering trigger warning, and end up deleting a childhood friend or a childhood partner, a childhood associate. How does that work? Especially after you was just on Joe Rogan a month prior talking about how you changed your life. You sat there and learned how to use de-escalation methods so you can sit there and reprogram your brain so you just don't act off reaction instead of thinking about shit before you know what I mean? So how does this play? How does this really play out? Like that's the mind-boggling. That's the mind-boggling. What's the word I want to use? That's the mind-boggling thought for me, basically, because how you go from Queen's offender, mentor. I'm sitting there doing the right thing, trying to help people get out of jail, this, that, and the third. End up getting my story blasted on YouTube and this, that, and the third for and now a month later, I just disassembled somebody in a crib, and then they found the person parts at my crib too. Bro, it's a wicked world we live in, B. Y'all stay safe out here. Word too. Y'all stay safe out here. You on them trains, you sitting there, man, listen, when you walk in your building, because this something that I sit there and tell my daughter, my wife all the time. When you walk in the building, make sure nobody's walking behind you that don't live there. That's first of all. Second of all, if you sitting there walking up to your building and you see somebody in your lobby that don't look like that don't walk in the building. You feel what I'm saying? Call somebody, make sure somebody in the crib come down this, because at the end of the day, yo, we live in New York City is so many mental, what's the word I want to use? There's so many mentally dysfunctional people out here, and just people that just don't care about life and don't care about nobody else's life, that just sits there and just last year they had a dude running around between the Bronx and Harlem, sitting there running in buildings behind women and raping women in the staircases, broad daylight. Like, so you never know what's going on. Y'all got to stay aware of y'all surroundings at all time. But hey, this wasn't going to be a long one. We got straight to the point. Once again, appreciate y'all for sitting there rocking out with me. Go shoot to KD on demand, and you already know, movie reviews dropping over there, reactions dropping over there, extended versions of skits is dropping over there, because now what I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start dropping half the skit on this channel, and if y'all want to see the full skit, you're gonna have to go to the other channel to go watch the full skit. But look, appreciate it. I'm out.